Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you are joining us from. Welcome to today's webinar on Muvi Player SDK. My name is Shivashish, and I will be your host for this insightful evening. This session is dedicated to Muvi Player and its various video SDKs. And before we get started, let me give you a quick overview of Muvi. Established in 2011 and headquartered in USA, Muvi was founded with a vision to disrupt the global streaming market. Muvi offers a diverse range of streaming products that cater to businesses of all shapes and sizes. So whether you are a small business or a large enterprise, our scalable and flexible streaming product portfolio can adapt to meet any streaming requirement. From a comprehensive OTT platform to fast channels, from on-demand streaming to live streaming, from audio streaming to video streaming, and from deploying websites to applications for mobile and TV ecosystems across 16 plus platforms, Muvi has a solution for all your streaming needs that can be accomplished with just a few clicks without the need of any coding knowledge. Our flagship product, Muvi One, has been rated as the #1 OTT platform on G2, and additionally, our live streaming product, Muvi Live, was also honored as the best live streaming product of 2022 by the readers of the Streaming Media magazine. Whether you are a content creator, a media company, or a business venturing into the streaming space, our goal is to empower you with the tools and expertise needed to thrive in this competitive industry. If you are interested in learning more about Muvi and how our streaming solutions can benefit your business, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. In today's digital age, video has emerged as the most powerful tool for businesses to engage, inform, and captivate their audience like never before. From streaming service and e-learning platforms to e-commerce and social media, the demand for streaming and high-quality video experience across various devices is at all-time high. As organizations strive to harness the potential of video content, the deployment of a robust video player becomes paramount. But it's not just about any video player. It's about integrating the right software development kits to create exceptional and tailored viewing experience that keeps users coming back for more and makes the lives of developers easier. Muvi Player and its various SDKs is an attempt by Muvi to cater to the video player requirements of any organization. And to talk about it in detail, I would like to invite Bibin, who is a product manager at Muvi. Bibin has a bachelor's degree in engineering and is also an MA in philosophy with certifications in various areas like product management, business strategies, software processes, agile practices, customer analytics, etc. Welcome to the webinar, Bibin.
Thank you, Shivashish, for the warm welcome, and now, thank you everyone for
just one thing. Now, before we get started, I would like to inform the audience that they can keep posting their questions using the Q&A box anytime during the webinar, and all the questions will be addressed at the end of this session. Over to you, Bibin.
Thank you again. So, welcome everyone, and I hope you're having a great day today. So, we'll right now jump into that webinar that we are going to do. So, it's all about player and player SDKs and how it can benefit you and your business, right? So, I'm going to start the webinar with a simple statement that is very popular for many years. And the statement is that content is king. Yeah, we all know this, right? Many business leaders, thought leaders, people in this streaming industry have been talking about this for years. And we, people in the streaming industry, whereas the content creators, everyone has been focusing on the same. So we have been putting more and more efforts, time and money to make exceptional content and to produce quality content out there. So that's why even if the content is king, we have been focusing on it for a long time, right? So in addition to this, maybe I will add some more that is missing. So content is of course the king, but what we miss is that player is actually the thing that keeps that crown of that king. So what that means is that even if you produce high quality content or exceptional content, to make sure that the output actually is being received by the end users, the player is required, right? The quality you imagined to produce to your end users, the player will make sure that it will actually get received by the end users. So that's the power of player that will come in between. So player is video player or audio player, whichever player that we're talking about. Player is like that bridge between your content and your end users. So it can be in any industry, it doesn't matter. So in every case, whatever you're producing or whatever the content you have or whatever use case that you're trying to solve, in all the cases, player is that bridge that keeps your content and your end users in sync, right? So that's why player is one of the super important factor to consider in your business, any kind of business. So now that we know that player is super important, we need to know why the player SDKs are important. Player SDKs are nothing but the software development kits that are being used in the applications for the playback of the content. So the applications can be anything, like web applications, mobile applications, the smartphones, the TV applications, or that tablet applications, anything. So whatever we take in any device we take, the player SDKs are there to deliver the content and to make sure that the playback actually works. Okay. So there are a lot of factors to consider when we talk about player SDKs. So today we'll go through that factors and why we need to consider that and how can we make sure that you consider these factors in your business and you choose a better player SDK to make sure your application. Okay, so if you talk about the factors, there are a couple of things, maybe a 10, something like that. Yeah. So I'll go through about this one by one throughout this webinar, and we'll discuss what it is, how it is being solved, the existing problems, etc. So there are many. So first of all, the number one thing is that the diverse device ecosystem. So as you know, there are more than 20 different types of devices used for content streaming. So from the smartphone to the TV to the gaming consoles to the set-top SDKs, everything. So we need to address this diverse ecosystem of devices that is present in today's market. To make sure that your content is actually being delivered to these diverse ecosystems, you need a player SDK that can actually deliver to these diverse devices. So that is one part. And another part is that the user experience, right? So the user experience, whether it is the design of the player or whether it is that how well the content is actually playing. So all these things matters to the end user. As I mentioned earlier, player is a bridge to the end users, right? So we need to make sure that the user experience matters and the user experience is great, exceptionally great. So to make sure that we provide a better user experience to the end users, it's not just about the content or the platform, it's also about the player and the player SDK. So we need to provide a better user experience from the player SDK in terms of the design, in terms of the quality of the playback, in terms of the technical performance. All these things matter. Okay. The other thing is that competitive edge, right? So whichever business or industry you are in, you all know that there is a competitor right out there, right? So whatever business, new thing or a new unique thing we launch, there will be someone else who might have the same idea or a similar concept out there. To stand out from this competition, we need to do something, right? So we need to provide great content, we need to make the platform smoother. And on top of that, we also need to make sure that our player is also competitive. So how can we differentiate between a player of your competitor and your player? So what we can do is, it can be simple things like a branding, just providing your logo on top of that player, or changing the look and feel of the player to match your theme. All these things, it all matters. And this is one other way to make sure that your platform or your application is more competitive than others. Then the other thing is that bandwidth usage. When we say diverse ecosystem, we mentioned that it can be different devices. So coming to the delivery, there is also another part, that is the bandwidth and the internet connection. When a person or the end user streams from your applications, it can be from anywhere. It can be from different parts of the world or different parts of the country. Who knows, right? So to make sure that the content is actually being streamed well, we need to make sure that the player is able to play that well. So how it is possible? Let's say for a person with low internet connection or slow internet connection, to make sure that the playback is good, it is up to the player. So it is up to the player to provide a great user experience to them also, to provide a better experience to those with the slow internet connection also. So all these things are capability of the player. I think we all actually forget or ignore this part because we think that, okay, performance is all about the application, or performance is all about the infrastructure that is being used. But that's not all. Performance is also on the player SDKs or the player that you are using. The player can make or break the performance actually. So, but no one talks about it, but it's a truth or it's a fact. Okay. And then the other thing is that global reach and accessibility. If you have an application that is spread across the world or being used by different type of people, you need to make sure that it is accessible to everyone. So it can be just adding some features that will make sure it will work for those handicapped people, or it can be customizing the language to the local languages that can be used in different regions of the country or in different countries itself. So all these things matters, and the player SDKs has a role to play in it to make sure that your application has a global reach and is accessible to as many customers or as many users as possible. Yeah, it's not all. There is analytics. So whatever we do, we need to get the insight of how well it is performed, right? So if you're providing a content or if you are doing some streaming, in any case, you need to get insights. So it can be basic things like number of views, watch duration, etc., or it can be advanced things like drop-off rates or bit rate, all these things. So it all matters. So all these things gives us insights about how well we can modify the platform, improve the performance of the platform, improve the content, improve the performance of the content, all these things. So we can get from the analytics that this player can provide. And if you talk about more, there is future proofing. Yeah, one thing that everybody knows. So future proofing, what that means is we all have some vision for the future, right? So we all know that, okay, this thing will go that way, this thing will go that way, right? So similarly, in player also, there is something that we need to consider. That is the formats and the technical aspects. So streaming protocols, you may have heard about it somewhere, like these HLS, RTMP, SRT, HESP, all these different protocols. So there are more than 10, 15 type of different protocols and 50 different formats of video formats out there. And it is not an end. So it keeps going on and on. The innovations and the development is going on and on. That means next month, a new protocol will come. And next year, maybe at least 10 new video formats will come, right? So how can we make sure that we adapt to these things? How can we make sure that we move on to this better version? So let's say a new protocol come, it is low latency protocol, okay? And we need to shift to that protocol. So in that case, we need to make sure that your player actually supports these protocols. And to do that, or to make sure that you need to have or keep a player SDK where these developments are going on and it's not like an abandoned thing. So if something is already built, that doesn't work. We need to consider the future also. We need to consider the future protocols, future streaming formats, everything future, right? So we need to future-proof your platform by considering the future for your player SDKs. And last and the most important one is the cost and time efficiency. So if you're building a player SDK of your own, it is going to cost months and years and a lot of time and a lot of money, right? So no one wants that. Who wants that, to spend that much of hours and that much of months and years to build something? No one wants that. So we need to consider using third-party player SDKs to reduce this cost and make sure you have time efficient. Yeah. So all these different factors that we discussed right now matter to the player SDKs and to your applications and to your business. Okay. So we have different perspective about this. Like we may not actually feel that, okay, these are things that need to be considered while we consider player SDKs, but these actually are. So I'm not sure how much these things are popular while you choose the player SDK, but these things are to be considered while you choose the player SDK. So when you make a decision to consider or use a player for your application, you need to make sure that it's a wise decision, right? And to make sure that it's a wise decision, we need to make sure that the player SDK actually covers all these different aspects. The problem with the current market is there is not much of player SDKs that actually covers these things. We can say maybe no player SDKs can cover all these different aspects of this player SDK. So that's why we are introducing Muvi Player SDK. The Muvi Player SDK is our new innovative product that will help you integrate Muvi Player, the exceptional and the outstanding Muvi Player, into your applications, your web applications, your mobile applications, your TV applications, anything, you name it. So for all these things, Muvi Player SDKs are there. So we have different SDKs focused on different platforms, and we provide a portal where you can manage these SDKs, see the analytics, etc. So coming to the number of platforms and the SDKs that we provide Android SDK, iOS SDK, React Native, Android TV, Apple TV, and then the web SDK, HTML5, that will work on all the popular browsers out there. And we also have this Samsung Tizen TV, LG WebOS, Fire TV. So all these different platforms, devices, and ecosystems out there, we have SDKs for all of these. So that will make sure that your application is universally compatible and it is suitable and it will work fine in every devices out there in this world. So that's why we focus on this universal compatibility or this ecosystem or the device ecosystem a lot more. So right now we have around 8 to 9 different player SDKs that is used to serve all these platforms. Okay. So now we move on. So let's say you might have questions like, how can you use it? Or is it right to you? Or is it right for your use case? Is it right for your business? Or is it right for your industry? The answer is that it is yes. It is applicable to your business, your applications, and your industry. So we have built Muvi Player in such a way that it is suitable for any use cases out there. So from the common media and entertainment use cases to e-learning specific use cases, and then to gaming platforms or game streaming, then to social media platforms, sports, government sector, live events, fitness, everything, we can cover it all. For example, if you talk about specifically for social media platforms, we can provide, we have the ability to provide both vertical as well as horizontal player SDKs. Okay, so both vertical as well as horizontal player SDKs. We have the capability to change the way it looks and then change the features corresponding to all these things. And for government sector or similar applications, corporate communications, similar applications, that security aspects, privacy aspects, confidentiality, all these come into play. So we have different features and different capabilities that will make sure that these government sector aspects are actually covered. And then for live events, the player will actually change if it is a live event. We'll show the live indication, we'll show the live specific features like live chat. All these things will be there in live events. So like this, you can imagine. So just imagine whatever use case you want to solve, it is possible with this player SDKs that we provide. So we have built in such a way that we consider all these different applications or all these different use cases that a player SDKs can be used. Okay, so now you might be wondering, okay, you talked a lot, but is there anyone using it? Yes, of course. The player SDKs are also being used by top brands like MGM, and then Dubai Expo, Sony, Canal Plus, Amazon Prime Video Studios, then Big Box TV, Red Coral. So all these customers, they have been using Muvi Player SDK for the past couple of years. So they have, with our Movie One, Movie Flex, and other applications that are built on top of Muvi Player, these customers have been using and having a great experience with Muvi Player. So now it's worth to look into it, right? So I mean, we can cover all the use cases, and it is being used by different customers, major brands for different use cases. Okay, now that we have talked about, or we have learned about the importance of player, the importance of player SDKs, factors to consider, and the Muvi Player, and the capabilities of Muvi Player, etc. So now we will go through a demo, a live demo of the Muvi Player product. Yeah. So what I will try to do is I'll just walk you through the step-by-step process for integrating a Muvi Player into a web application. To integrate it into a mobile and TV application, it may take some time, and so that I'll need 1 or 2 hours to make it properly work out. So with respect to our time, so I have to demo it in 5-10 minutes, right? So I'll be quickly going through a demo in the website. So what I will be trying to do is I'll be demoing the web application, the player SDK in a website that I already have. Okay. So what you need to do first is go to movie.com, and in the movie.com you will have this player. So when you click on the player, it will show that player product details. Okay, and there don't need to go further, just start free. Okay, so once you click start free, what actually happens is you will be taken to a form where you need to fill out the details like your name, email ID, etc. And of course, you don't need to provide any card details or make any payments. So that's why we meant start free, right? So the player SDKs are, you can start using the player SDKs for free, and we have a pay-as-you-go pricing. I'll come to that later. So the idea is that you can start using the product, start integrating the product with your applications, all for free, without any time limit. There is no 7-day free trial or 14-day free trial like that. So it is forever. You use it up to your needs. Okay. So now that once you sign up, you will get this. You will come into this portal. So this is a portal where you manage the player SDKs, see the analytics, manage your account, see the documentation, and everything like that. Okay. So what you need to do is first you simply click on the add player, where you can give a name, then the platform. You can choose the platform. So for example, if you choose a website, it will ask you for that, which domains you want to whitelist. So basically it's a security feature. So if you can put your domain names here. So that will make sure that only your website is able to play or the videos or to make use of that player. And let's say a hacker comes and get your player SDK and get your license, but they cannot play it because only the domains that you will put here will be able to play it. Yeah. And if you have another platforms, let's say Android, then you can choose version name and enter the package name. Or if it's a TV, same thing, like enter the version name, app ID, all these things. Okay. So once you have done that, you will be able to see all that your SDKs here, and you can see that some of them are inactive, some of them are active. So the active inactive means is that if you are using that, you can mark it as active. If you're not using, you can mark it as inactive. That's also an additional security feature to protect your player SDKs and your playback. Okay. Now we have added a player SDK. Now here I have one, I have already added one. So I'm just showing it. Apply for my website. I have given some page domains. Okay. So today what I'm going to do is I have a website. Okay. And I'm going to do is I'm going to add Muvi Player into this website. Okay, so this is my personal website where I blog and add some content, etc. Okay, so here I have created a new page specifically for this webinar and specifically for this demo. So what I will do is in this page, I will add a player and we will see how it will look and what all things we can do on top of that. Okay, so this site is built using Wix. So I'll be going through the Wix and I'll be adding it here. Okay, now we are getting into coding. Get your technical hats on. So we are actually getting into a bit of a coding. Not that much of a bit. It's very small. You just need to add some lines to make these things work. Okay, so what we need to do is we go to the player for my website and I'm going to download this. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to download this. So when I download this, what I get is a folder which will have that details or that values that I need to add. So basically this is a code of this player SDK for the web that needs to be added. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this. I'm going to add it as an HTML. Then I'm going to paste that. So here I have added that. And to make sure that it actually works, what we need to do is we need to get the license. Okay, so here it is, the license. License will authenticate that player and make sure that it is actually a valid player and you are the one that is rightly using it. So it's basically a security feature as well as an authentication feature. Okay. So now that we have added the license, so that's all. I mean, that's all you need to do to make the player work. So I'm going to, it's responsive. So how much lengthen or widen you do it, it will be working fine. So I'm going to put it in the center. I'm going to place it here. Yeah, this will be fine. I'm going to publish it. Okay. So once I publish it, so this is from Wix, I'm publishing it. Now I'm going to refresh my page where I'm trying to add it. And we will see if that player got added. So you can see that the player got added and it is working fine. So here I have given a dummy link or dummy video. So in your applications, you need to change these videos with your content, right? So you can do that. If you're a programmer, you may already know this. And if you're not, you can do that with the help of a technical website, right? So here, as you can see, this is the simplest player that we will provide. And you can modify it based on what you want. So there is no limitations on how much you want to customize and how much you want to modify it. So I will quickly go through some. Basically, yeah. So before we go into that, so how do we know to add all of these things? So that's why we have the documentation. We have the documentation. When you click on the documentation, it will take you to the documentation page. Yeah. So here I have it open already. So the documentation will give you all the necessary steps to integrate in a very simplistic way. So it's not like rocket science, or it's not like nuclear fission and things like that. So it is super easy, just adding 1 or 2 lines of code and your player is ready to be live. Okay, so that's how you add the player by referring to these documentations. It's super easy, nothing to worry about. And then what we need to do is, so let's try a couple of things. Yeah, maybe here you can see these are all the features that you can actually add. I'm going to add a logo. So logo is a main part of a website or an application, right? So I'm going to add a logo. To add a logo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that here. I need to give a path of the image. So I have one link over here. Basically, this is a small logo image we have. Okay. And you can set the position like where you want to appear, where you want to at the top or bottom, right, left, all these things can be set up. And let's try something more. Maybe you can add, what else we can add? Yeah, picture in picture, a super important feature. You can add this picture in picture, you just copy it and then paste it. Just for your reference, this is our, or I will come back to that later. So we'll add picture in picture, maybe we can add something more. What else? Yeah, playback speed control. So basically with this, you can change the speed of the video and you can also customize it. So in YouTube, etc., you might have seen that there are specific values, 1, 1.25, 0.5, etc. So here you can customize it any way you want. For example, I'm going to make it shorter, like 0.5, 1. Maybe we'll keep it small. It's only 3 options. And maybe we will add something else. Whatever else we can add. A good option will be, yeah, big player pause button. So I'll add that too. Yeah, that will be enough for the demo. We have added a lot of things, like we have added a logo, we have added picture in picture and a playback rate, etc. So now I'm going to update this and I'm going to publish it. Okay. So just for your reference, this was our initial player. So we have a playback option, play and pause option, and timing option, and a full screen option. So that's all we had. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this so that our updates that we have done here are applicable here. So you can see that my logo has appeared here. So this was the logo that I given, and you can see that playback values are coming here. I hope you can see that. So here 1.5. So if I select that, it is moving fast. If I select 0.5, you can see that it is moving slow. And the other thing we added was this picture in picture. So here you can see that the player is actually playing in picture in picture, and it can play in any on top of other websites or other places. So it doesn't matter. Sure. So all these things as I shown. So there are a lot more you can do on top of Muvi Player. So you have all the list here, and we keep updating this list at least once a week or at least twice a week. So we keep updating this. So new features get added, new customization options get added. All these things are possible right from this documentation. So you can just refer to all of these and then get into it, start improving it. So you can change the design, you can change the color theme, you can add the logo, you can change the features and the controls of the player. You can do everything right from the Muvi Player SDK using this documentation. And so that's how you add a player into your website. And similarly, you refer to the documentation for other SDKs like Android, iOS, Android TV, all the things. You have the documentation, you can refer to it. That is how you add. And so another important factor is how you see the analytics and how you get the insights. So here we have a dedicated page in the portal for analytics where you will be able to see the number of views, watch duration, etc. And it is broken down by the SDK that you have been using. So you'll get, and you can also change the time and then export this analytics report into different formats. So all these things you can do right from this portal. So you get more and more insights about your content, about your platform, your application, how it is performing. You get insights into all of this right from this analytics portal. And so that is about the player. We don't have much time to show the integration for all the applications. So that's why I just showed it for the website. So in my personal website page. Okay. And now we go back. To our presentation. I hope you understood the process, the end-to-end flow and everything, like adding a player SDK from the start to the beginning. Yeah. Sorry, start to the end. Yeah. Okay, now we go back. So right now we have seen everything about the player SDKs, the need for the SDKs, and then movie player SDK, its demo, everything. So now I want to consider how or why you need to consider movie player SDK to be added in your applications. So first of all, in the earlier slides, we already discussed that there are a lot of factors to consider while choosing a player SDK, right? So here, I'm going to discuss that how movie player will solve that and why movie player SDK can be the perfect option for your player SDK decision making. So there are 10 points I will cover today. So one is that multi-platform compatibility. So you saw that we support 10 around 8 plus different platforms and devices with support across different browsers and everywhere. So the multi-platform compatibility, it is guaranteed. So it will work in all the devices and all possible devices. And the other thing is that we have this adaptive bitrate streaming technology for smooth playback. So the movie player SDK will ensure that the playback of the content is optimized according to that internet connectivity of the end users. So for people with low internet connection, the player will automatically sense that, and then according to that, it will choose the resolution to play. So that is what we call the adaptive bitrate streaming, and the movie player SDK supports that out of the box. And then you can add your own branding and logo on the player. Even we just show that I added my own logo right there on the player. So similarly, you can add your own branding, change the color, theme, make your brand vision appear on top of the player. That's also you can do with the movie player SDK. It's so simple. You don't need to spend a lot of time in doing that. It just simply enter the URL and you're done. And then we show the analytics. So analytics for the in-depth insights about your content, platform, and how they are performing, all these things. So right now we have this views, watch duration, etc. And we'll have more and more things coming soon. So that is another part. And then with movie player SDK, you can add subtitles, closed captions, and then you can add multiple audios for multi-audio. For example, if you have a movie or something that you want to provide in different languages, you can do that with movie player SDK. So all these things are supported out of the box. And then we have this secure streaming with DRM playback. So in the demo also, I showed different security options. That's not all. You can also apply DRM on top of your content, and movie player SDK will support the playback of such DRM protected content. So not all players can play the DRM protected content, and movie player will make sure that it will play without any issues. Then we have the developer friendly documentation and support, so that you don't need to worry about integration. It's a super simple, and you also get a lot of support. We have the documentation, we have the help center, we have 24/7 chat or call, anything you want, it is already out there, and we can provide the support. And if you are looking for monetization options on top of your player, you can insert advertisements within the player. So we support VAST, VMAP, in addition, VAST, VMAP, the industry standards protocol. And in addition to that, we support the Google IMA, and then Freewheel, the SpotX, Magnate, all these platforms also we support the ad insertion. Okay, and not only that, you can also add paywalls on top of the player SDK with other plugins, etc. Then one most important factor to consider is pricing. So while I showed the demo, I mentioned that you can start free. There is no need to pay anything upfront. So you can start using the product free. You can start integrating the product free, and as you go ahead, you only need to pay based on what you use. So it is $0.001 per view. So if you get 1,000 views in your platform, it will be just $1. Okay, so I don't know how can we provide it in a much lesser cost. Yeah. So basically, that's a pay-as-you-go pricing. And to get started, you also get 1,000 views, 1,000 or 10,000 views free. So you can start using the product for free. You can start integrating different SDKs for free. And that is one of the best pricing we have in the industry. And then you can customize without any restriction. So you can add third-party plugins, or you can add anything you want to make that player customized according to your platform, customized according to your business and your use cases and everything. So these things, these are the 10 reasons to use Muvi Player SDKs in your apps. So there are a lot more to it, and I'm winding up with 10. Okay, so these things you can consider while you make this Player SDK decision-making process, or when you choose, or when you want to improve your current Player SDKs, or when you want to change your current Player SDKs. Consider Muvi Player SDKs and these 10 reasons. So there is nothing more to it. So there is nothing more you may want to ask for. So everything is included right out of the box. But we are not stopping there. We are an innovative company, and we are spending a lot of time, resources, and everything improving this Player SDK and this product. So here is a quick look at what we are going to do in the next months. So basically, if you go by the order, so initially in the next couple of months, we are going to introduce new analytics metrics. We are going to add a new Roku SDK. We're going to have a demo center where you can test out the features without integrating. Yeah, and then you'll have the audio player specific SDKs specific to audio player use cases, and then you'll get the real-time analytics. Then the augmented reality and virtual reality support will be there, and then the SDKs for advanced platforms like set-top boxes, gaming consoles that we have in plan to do that. And then we have the voice control, AI enabled, artificial intelligence enabled voice control, and then 8K support, and a lot more. So we have keep adding a lot more things onto our product. We have the plan, and this is just few items that I have mentioned. So there are a lot more to this, and this is like a high-level plan for what we'll be doing in the order. But we will of course change the order based on your feedback. So based on what you give, like whatever you want, we will make sure that it comes or it gets prioritized. So that's what we'll be doing. Okay, so now that's all about the Muvi Player. Now if we talk about what else can we do on top of the Muvi Player. So Muvi Player will make sure that the playback of your content will be smoother and will provide the best experience to your users. As I mentioned earlier, the bridge, Player is a bridge between your content and your end users. So Muvi Player SDK will make sure that that bridge is a strong bridge, and that bridge can actually give results. Okay, so that's all about the Player SDKs. Now, if you look at one more thing, is that how Muvi Player SDKs can be added to other systems. So we have, as Shivashish mentioned at the beginning, we have a suite of products that can be used for any streaming needs. So basically, Player SDK can be added with our other products to give a much more elevated experience. So if we have live streaming use cases, live streaming meeting, webinar use cases, you can use Muvi Live. So we have live SDKs also, so that we can do that right out of the box. So if you're building, let's say, a live streaming application, mobile application, you can use Muvi Live SDKs. So it can do live streaming, it can do meetings, it can do webinars and everything like that. So that is Muvi Live. And then there is Muvi Flex. It's a content management system and a data and asset management system and a media asset management system. All these things are possible with Flex. Flex also provides APIs, SDKs, etc. to make sure you integrate these things well. Then we have Playout, that is a cloud Playout solution to run your own TV channels, where you schedule channels according to the timings and then you stream it to different platforms. That's also we have with Playout. Playout also have APIs to integrate with Player SDK. Then if you have a lot of content, if you are focused more about making it suitable and relevant to the end users, we have Ali. Ali is a recommendation engine. that will work, of course, with other applications and with Player SDKs too. So all these different applications will work the best with Player SDK, and on top of that, you can add your own third-party plugins, third-party applications, or third-party SDKs that you already use. It can be added with Player SDK. There is no issue. All these integrations are supported by default. Okay. So that's all about Muvi Player SDK and Muvi Player in general. So basically, if we recap and revisit everything, so we started from the statement that content is king and player keeps crown. Yeah. So basically, we then learned about the importance of video player and how it can be a bridge between your content and your end users. Then we covered the different aspects that you need to consider while in your business or in your applications, while you choose the Player SDK or while you think about migrating the existing Player SDKs. And then we talked about Muvi Player, how Muvi Player SDKs can be used in your applications, the features of Muvi Player, and why it is like the perfect solution out there in the player market. Yeah. So that's all I have for today. And if we have any questions, I'll be happy to take in. So as a next steps, I'm handing over the mic to Shivashish. So Shivashish, please. Thank you everyone for listening. Yeah.
Thank you, Bibin. It was indeed a very informative presentation, and given the responses, I'm sure our audiences have a lot of questions to ask you today. But before we move on to the Q&A, I would request our audiences to take a minute to answer our quick poll, which should be coming onto your screens now. And if you can't see the poll, just you can click on the poll icon at the bottom of your screens and fill out the small survey that should be visible on your screen now. So starting with the Q&A, we have a question coming from Mathis, and he wants to know that what are the underlying players that are being used for various platforms like the EXO player, the Shega player, Dash.js, etc.
Yeah, cool. So for the web, we use the default HTML5 player, and we have built on top of that using different plugins, and some are in-house, some are external. But with these plugins, we have made the Muvi Player SDK what it is right now. Sorry. And for the other applications like Android, iOS, etc., some of them are the defaults, like the EXO player, for example. It's a default for Android, right? So that we use, and we use plugins, extra plugins, and extra other solution to build on top of that. So to answer your question, coming back to your concerns, so one is based on HTML5, other is based on EXO player, and for TV SDKs, I'm not sure, but it's also based on the default SDKs, and we have built on top of that. Yeah. Thank you.
So I hope this answers your question. The next question, in fact, two questions are coming from Anil. He wants to know that does the Player SDK support one H.265 decoder, and second is LLHLS and CMAF. So does the SDK support all three of these?
Yes, Player SDK support LLHLS, low latency HLS, and as well as CMAF. So we support it by default. There is nothing in it to do out of the box. So it is already there. And the H.265, we have deprioritized because of the lack of playback support in different devices, because it does not give a better end user experience to the in different platforms and devices. So that's why we have deprioritized, but it's on our plan to do this S265. Currently it is S264, as you can expect. So other things like LLHLS, CMF, it's already there. Whatever.
I hope this answers your question, Anil. We have another question from Mathis, and he wants to know how far back in terms of device versions do we support Samsung Tizen app, LG Web OS, and Android TV?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we support back to up to last 5 major releases. So like the previous 5 major releases of these different platforms, we support that. We officially provide support for this, but hopefully it will work in older versions too. most probably it will work. So, but officially we mentioned that we will provide support for last 5 releases. Yeah.
Okay, another question that's coming up is the website shows individual players for Web, Tizen, and LG. Do you really need to create and implement separate players for these environments, or can you just use the web player across all these platforms?
You can use the web player across platforms, but it is recommended to not do that. Why? Because you can manage different applications, SDKs for different applications if you create different SDKs. So it can be helpful in security aspects, license aspects, analytics aspects, and in everything. If you create separate SDKs for different applications, that will be much better. But it is also possible, as you mentioned. So if you prefer to do that, you can do that. But we recommend to keep it separate because of the reasons I mentioned.
Okay, so Helbert wants to know that does the dashboard and application be multi-language?
Dashboard means like hopefully mean the portal. If you are looking the portal, if you are looking for that, yes, we can provide multi-language. Actually, we have the development going on for this multi-language support. So the portal, the entire thing will be given in multiple languages. And it's not just a portal, it will also come to documentation pages and other pages like help articles, etc. So it will be on the line. And coming to multi-language, so if you mean multi-language within the player, yes, that is supported out of the box. So you can add your own custom languages into the player. So there is some documentation for that. So you can add any languages. You can give that not the commands. You can give the words by your own. Like if you want to set different languages and different words for each of these languages, you can set that within the player. So multi-language is there. And also, not only that, multi-audio, multi-language captions, all these things are supported by default. Yeah.
Okay, I hope this answers your question, Helbert. Now, Kumar Nitish, he wants to know that what security measures does Movie Player SDK have in place to protect video content from unauthorized access or piracy?
Yeah. I hope in the demo I have shown different things. So number one is the license. So license will authenticate the player and it will prevent any unauthorized playback. And second one is that for website and apps, there is a whitelisting domain and whitelisting then source of the domains, etc. So what that means is you put your website or your web domain or your source domain of your URL, then only that will work. Other, let's say if that player got hacked or your platform got hacked, and if someone tries to use the player SDK in their applications, it will not work. It will work, but it will not play anything. So it will be just a blank screen and an error. That's all. And one more thing is that, you can set, if you are not using the SDK, you can set it as inactive so that you use only what you really use. So all these measures, one more thing I missed is the DRM. So if you have DRM protection for your content, the player SDKs can also support the playback for those content. So all these security features are out there, and I hope it covers everything.
Another question that I'm getting is from Robert, and he wants to know that what kind of technical support does Movie provide to the developers who are integrating the SDK into their applications?
Okay, cool. So we have the documentation as I showed for each of the different SDKs. We have the documentation, and that is so simple. Actually, that will cover all the queries. And if not, there is actually a help center that will walk you through the entire process. And not only that, you can log tickets where you want to, let's say if you have faced an issue, you can log a ticket. The technical team will be looking into it and sharing their resolution at the earliest possible. And if you have more and more advanced requirements, let's say you have a lot of SDKs and you have to manage a lot of things, then it will be better if you take the help of an account manager. So we provide account manager in the enterprise plans. So anyway, that is only for like very enterprise level use cases. For normal use cases, these things that I mentioned will be enough, like the documentation, help center, the live chat, ticketing system. All this will be very helpful.
Okay, another question that is coming up, and probably this is the last one for the day. So, Mathis wants to know that can the player be used with my own UI and use the underlying playback functionalities to actually handle the playback rather than skinning your own UI?
Yeah, it is possible. So let's say you have a plugin to actually do that. It can be a CSS or JS plugin to have your own functionality, your own UI. Then you can do that on top of Movie Player. The Movie Player functionalities will still remain, but the UI will be what you bring in. That will work. So it is definitely possible, and it is already there. Yeah. Thank you, Matheus.
Sumit wants to know that can you explain the type of insights that Movie Player SDK provides to help content creators make good decisions?
Yeah. In the analytics page, I showed that. So we have that different metrics or KPIs. You can select those metrics. So right now there is views, unique views, watch duration, etc. In the future, as I mentioned in the roadmap, more analytics. It's like a super important item to us. So these metrics you can select. You can select the rate range, and then it will show the graph accordingly. So where you can see how it is, whether your content is performing well or not, or how is the graph, whether it is increasing, decreasing. You can also will be also able to see the percentage increase, percentage decrease, etc. So all these things will be broken down by your SDK, that is your platform, and you can see or analyze all these things right from that analytics dashboard.
Thanks, Vivin, and I hope all your questions that our audience has asked, you got the answers. This concludes our session for today. And to all our audiences, Muvi keeps conducting webinars each month on some industry topics and also to showcase some of Muvi's best offerings. I would personally request all our viewers to keep a lookout for our social media channels and the website for the registration links to the upcoming webinars. And as a small token of appreciation, we would like to give you a small informative brochure to view later on Player SDK that should be available now on your messaging section. And just to give you a brief about the next webinar is going to show you how you can build an entire Android application, a fully functional Android application with Muvi in just under 30 minutes. Yes, you have heard it right. With Muvi, you can make your Android application in just under 30 minutes. And Swagat Mishra, our senior product manager at Muvi, will show you how you can do that on 14th of September. So mark your calendars. Until then, have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.